Hello and welcome to the Side One YouTube channel. My name is Ray, and in this video, part 4 I think it is, of the Raspberry Pi Robo Hat circuit board I designed. I had designed this circuit as 2 parts to be on 2 different boards. So these are the 2 wiring diagrams that I designed for it. This is the most complex one and connects directly to the Raspberry Pi. And then this daughter board plugs on top to allow us to get the current monitoring on the servo channel outputs. So essentially this is what the board will look like. It's a blown up version when the board is made. So I did send off to PCBway and they came back with 10 of these boards. So what we have is 10 blank boards that have been manufactured to this design, and all I need to do now is put all the components on. In this video I'm going to concentrate on this one in trying to get it going. I'm not going to install this connector. I had thought about it. The one I've got available to me is not the right orientation and would go in this way, and I think it's going to stand up too high for what I need. I want to put this in the Spot Micro dog, and I think that'll just be too high. So before I can make up these boards I need to separate them, and for that I'm just using a little cutoff wheel in a rotary tool to cut those tabs and then just clean it up with a file. And these are the ones I've prepared earlier. So this one's the daughter board, and this is the one I'm going to work on today. And this is the main board. So on the daughter board we've got a capacitor, which I have in a box here, a connector to go on the back side. We have 8 INA 219s, right? I think they're INA 219s. Yeah, INA 219s across here. Each one has a filtering capacitor on supply, which is 100 nanofarad. Only a very small capacitor, and I have these in a strip here. I've got a heap of them, so hopefully I have enough for the job. I've got enough here to populate 10 boards, so I actually ordered 10 of these. And these, it's written on here what they are because there's no markings on these capacitors, which makes it a little bit interesting. Next we have 8 of these large resistors to go in, and that's these ones here. They're, see if I can get this up and make it easier to see. Oops, flipped it over. So with the R, it indicates if the R is following, then that would be a 100 ohm resistor, but with it the R leading, that's a 0.1 ohm resistor. And I think for a 1.1 it would be 1R10. So that's 0.1 ohms, which is what we need to measure the voltage drop across that resistor. The auto focus dropped out there. And we can make a decision. There's you can see these pads here on that diagram. That's them there. Now I have got it configured. These 2 pins go through this resistor, and these 2 go through that resistor. I should say these 2 go through that one, and these 2 go through that one. They're the power for servos. And I do have arrived these strips. Now, when Adafruit designed the PCA 9685 based 16 channel servo driver board, one of the things they made a note of is because the standard servo plug is marginally wider than this pitch, you can only really do 4 at a time. And so you have to separate groups of 4, which is why I've done it here. And so I'll have to separate these out into groups of 4 and solder those on. I'll do those and that at the same time, and I'll also solder on this header down here. Now, I don't actually have that dual row header available to me at this time, but what I do have is single row, both pins and sockets, and I've actually got them plugged in here to keep them together. So I've got 2 single rows of that, and I'm planning on using that on both boards. So when I install them, I will probably put those into here, 2 sets, and these into those from the underside. Now, at the time when I designed these boards, I have actually got listed on here my then patrons: Go Lucky, Lorenz Berger, Elmerel's 45 and White Wolf, and only 2 of those are still active patrons at this time. I will probably send out a set of these boards to them when I get their addresses. Alright, so before I go ahead, let me just move them across out of the way. I'm not going to put those on just yet. And we'll try out this solder. I haven't actually used this solder paste before, so this will be a new experience for me. Now, to melt this solder, I plan on using a industrial type hot plate, and that's this one, and I have done a video on this one, so on this hot plate, an unboxing, so you'll be able to have a look at it. I'll try and remember to put a link in the description below. Now, that's got a very, very small hole in the tip of this syringe nozzle. So I've picked this up local in Australia. Obviously it's come out of China, you can tell by the Chinese writing, and it's supposed to melt at 183 degrees C. Pull this cover out first. Now, when I was ordering these boards, I thought I did tick to get a silk screen, but one didn't come with it, and somewhere along the process it got dropped off. I'm not sure what happened there. It's just going to make life a little more interesting for me. Now, I am going to have to use a magnifying glass myself. And put this solder paste on. Woo. I'm not very good at this. I've probably put way too much on. So solder paste is basically a heap of little solder balls suspended in a flux. Okay, just for the record, this is my first time doing surface mount work. Might start with the resistors. I'm just going to orientate this board a little bit. You can't get that glare out very well. I did try and focus the camera a bit more, but it's just not playing the game very well today. Okay, that looks like all of the resistors in. Now I've got to figure out how to get these capacitors out. Now I'm pretty sure I've got way too much solder up here. I'm just going to plot some up. Okay, that's all my capacitors on and all my resistors on. So next trick is these INA. Now these add up pretty rapidly. They're only a few dollars each. But when you start buying 10 at a time, and I only need 8 on a board, they do rapidly add up in price. And I've got my first problem. These are not going to fit on this board. I've got the wrong size. Well, that's a pain. That's a big pain. Alright, what I might do is solder these down, and I can add those when I get the right ones in. And I'm just going to have to try and clean off the rest of the solder before I do this. And very carefully put this on the hot plate. You can see that's starting to melt. I can see smoke coming off it anyway. There we go, solder is actually melting. It's melted in the middle here. And it's pulling the components in straighter as the solder melts. So those components are now soldered on. Alright, I am going to have to order in some new INAs, the larger size. So these are obviously the wrong size INA 219s. I don't want to drop this down just yet. Still quite warm. And the next trick would be to start working on the next one. But I might do that in the next video and have all the correct components spread out ready to go. So if you like these videos, don't forget to click on like, subscribe and ring that notification bell. It's a form of support that helps the channel a great deal and costs you absolutely nothing. If you'd like to help the channel further, I do have a Patreon account and a YouTube membership. And you can join my VIP patron, Go Lucky, my All Access patron, Jeff Gerard, my Builder patrons, Al Morales 45, Andrew Cardone, Edgar Hawaii, and supporting the channel. You'll find links below for Patreon. And if you've got any queries, ask a question in the description, or sorry, in the comments, or drop into Discord and ask a question in there. There'll be a link to my Discord in there. And we'll see you in the next video.